Today we're doing the last few loose ends. The kind of things you postpone because the car still drives until one day they start to bother you enough. And today 3 of those topics are finally getting sorted. You could call this one All the Small Things Part 2. We start with something that is actually important, the power steering. A few episodes ago I noticed that the fluid level was low, so I topped it up. The problem is, ever since then, I've had the feeling the fluid has turned a bit milky, and that gave me a bad feeling. During the 964 production, Porsche changed the power steering fluid from ATF, which is red, to pentosene, which is green. From what I've found, pentosene was introduced mainly because it performs better at low temperature and is generally better suited for this hydraulic system. The important part for me is this: both fluids can work in these cars, but mixing them is not ideal. I don't know what was in the car before, so I topped it up with ATF. And now I'm worried that may have been the wrong move. So I ordered pentosene, and today we are flushing the whole system. The process is actually simple, just a bit messy. Before removing any hoses, I empty the reservoir with a syringe. Then I use a towel and a lot of paper to catch as much fluid as possible before it runs down the engine. Now we start removing the hose clamps from the reservoir. The moment the first hose come off, the fun begins. Fluid everywhere. I try to seal the reservoir with one finger while sucking fluid out of the hose with the other hand. Let's just say that didn't work well. Before removing the second hose, I loosen the whole power steering reservoir first. Then it's the same process again. Remove the clamp, pull the hose off, catch as much fluid as you can, and somehow wrestle the reservoir out while trying to block both openings. The last hose is one on the power steering pump itself. Let's take a look at the reservoir. In fact, we are replacing it with a new one. Porsche no longer sells out the translucent reservoir and replaced it with the later 993 style black reservoir, which has a dipstick in the cap for checking the fluid level. Not my favorite visually, but I'm not going to get too emotional about a power steering reservoir. Why replace it at all? Because it has a built-in filter and you cannot change it. And since I don't know what fluid was in the system, I'd rather just start fresh. For the actual flush, we need 3 things. About 5 meters of clear PVC hose with a 60mm inner diameter cut into 2 pieces, reducers from 60mm down to 12, and some hose clamps. We start by fitting one clear hose to the inlet side of the power steering pump. The other end goes into a container with fresh pentosene, so the pump can draw it in. For the return line, we use the reducer to match the original hose diameter for the clear PVC hose. That return hose then goes into an empty bucket. And here you can see my very professional setup. I try to pre-fill the inlet hose, but pentosene is so thin that it just runs out again. But air in the steering system is not a huge issue here, because it will bleed itself as you steer from end to end. Now it gets interesting. We split it into 2 runs. First, a very short engine run to make sure everything behaves. Just look at how fast the pump pulls in the fresh fluid. Then a second run until the flush is complete. After a few seconds, the pump has swallowed almost 5 liters and the flushing is done. Both the feed hose and the return hose now contain fresh green pentosene. That's exactly what we wanted. From here on, it's easy. Remove the PVC hoses, install the new reservoir, clamp down everything and fill the reservoir to the correct level. Then start the engine briefly, turn the steering from end to end and check the level again. After that, I clean everything properly, reinstall the air filter, and with that, job number 1 is done. Let's move on. A few episodes ago, I told you about my tire dilemma. The current tires are over 10 years old and so done that I'm getting problems while cornering. The issue was that the 205 front tires I wanted, the Michelin Pilot Sport, simply aren't available anymore. And that left me with a big question. Do I switch to different wheels or keep the Cup 1s and choose a different tire? After I uploaded that video, some of you suggested staying with the Cup 1s and going from 205 to 225 in the front, since I have the 7.5 inch front wheels. That gives me a really interesting compromise. Keep the OEM look, gain more front end grip and still avoid going too extreme with something like the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2. There was just one problem. The current 205s were already rubbing because the front wheels sit a little too far forward in the wheel arches. So if I fit new tires that are even wider, I'm risking rubbing the brand new ones immediately. Back when the suspension was installed, most of the alignment values were set close to the 964 Carrera RS specs. That means lower ride height, more caster, more camber and roughly similar toe. Caster is the angle of the steering axle when you look at the car from the side. Imagine a line running through the upper and lower steering pivot points of the front wheel. If the top of that line leans slightly backwards, that's a positive caster. Positive caster gives the front wheels a self-centering effect. It helps the car track straight and it helps the steering return towards center after a corner. Too little caster can make the steering feel nervous. Too much caster can make it feel heavier. The other key point of the caster is that it also can move the wheel position in the wheel arch. So in my case, I want to reduce the caster a bit, move the wheel back and stop the rubbing, and then see whether that hurts the way the car drives. From this point on, we are officially on a MacGyver mission. And this is not a proper alignment. It's just a temporarily practical adjustment to save the new tires until I get the car professionally aligned. But it will show what changes when you alter the caster and what else you need to correct afterwards. What we are doing is creating reference before and after the caster change. So we don't know the exact alignment values, but we do know whether the toe and camber stayed where we want them. First, we need to center the steering. You can do that by leveling the steering wheel, but that does not automatically mean the steering rack is centered. So we remove the under tray and check the rack itself. There's a small cap on the steering housing, and when you remove it, you can see a mark on the rack. When that mark is centered, the steering is centered as well. There's a proper Porsche tool to lock it in that position, but I don't have that. So from here on, the plan is simple: don't touch the steering wheel. While we are under here, we can also check that the car is sitting level on the lift. And luckily, it is. Now we use a crossline laser on both brake discs. By matching the height left and right, we can project reference lines and mark their position on the wall in front of the car. That gives us a visual reference for the toe while we change the caster. To change caster, we loosen the 2 bolts at the outer control arm mount. The larger eccentric adjusts caster. What we found is that the caster was already at its maximum position. Changing it from maximum to minimum only moved the wheel about 7 mm backwards. Not much considering how bad it looked before. So naturally we thought, let's just set it to the minimum. What could possibly go wrong, right? Now watch what happens to the camber while moving the caster from min to max. We check it with a digital angle gauge on the brake disc. On the lift, the camber barely changes, so for now we are not worried about that. We can't directly measure caster with this setup, but we can see that the strut angle changes about 1 degree between the minimum and maximum caster. The biggest effects shows in the toe. That changes visibly when you move the caster. Before the adjustment, the total toe was almost 0. So after reducing caster, we decide to correct the toe and set it to just a touch more toe in than before. Ready for some awesome math? Assuming we know the distance to the wall and the distance from the laser markings between minimum and maximum caster, then this angle is the change in toe. With some black magic we can calculate that the new toe on each wheel will be 50 minutes more than before, which is too much. Since I want to avoid negative toe, we decided to set the new toe so that the mark is 1 centimeter away from the original one. This gets us around 12 minutes more toe than before. I mean, at least in theory. Before doing that, we tighten the caster eccentric and the other control arm bolt and torque both to spec. To correct the toe, we need to adjust the tie rods. And what I also learned is that to loosen the 2 lock nuts properly, you have to hold the rod itself with the pliers. One lock nut loosens one way, the other the opposite way. You can see the marks and dents that leaves, but that's just how it is with this kind of 90s hardware. Then, by turning the rod itself, you can open the toe angle. Then tighten the lock nuts again. Repeat the same process on the other side, put the wheels back on and check the result. And that already looks much better. I ordered Michelin Pilot Sport PS2 with the Porsche N rating. What you also can see is that I ordered the 225s in the front instead of the 205. First thing I noticed that the wider tire sits much less stretched on the rim than the 205s. On the first drive, the car felt completely different. Even with the wider front tires, the steering doesn't really feel heavier, which is great. And in return, the car turns in much better than before. Of course, the steering ratio itself hasn't changed, but the amount of steering angle you need in a corner feels noticeably smaller and the car reacts much more directly. I'm really happy with that. I could only do a short drive for now, but I already can't wait for a longer one. Until then, see you in the next one.